What's up guys, Corin here, and today I finally get to do an Overwatch theory on the Americans of the group. I've always been intrigued by all three of them, Reaper, McCree, and Soldier 76, as these characters all have dialogue with each other within the game, and that could I guess be chalked up to them being from the same country of origin, but while that does have something to do with it, it's definitely not what anyone, including me before today, would expect. Now, before I get too deep into this, I have to explain a little bit of the work of a psychologist who lived in the late 19th and early 20th centuries by the name of Sigmund Freud. He theorized that the mind was divided into three parts. The first was the id, which is the only part you were born with and by far the most primal. The id only knows what you want deep and primally, and the fact that you want it right now. An infant cries when it wants food, to be changed, attention, etc., and this is all the id at work. It has no sympathy for its parents or anyone else around it. Now, the second part of the mind is the ego. This is typically the dominant part of the mind and the most sensible as far as what everyone else would consider so. While your id tells you that you are hungry, your ego may take into account when it would be appropriate to make food or ask for it or whatever. And the ego changes the most throughout life to fit your current situation and apply actions based on what is the most appropriate with what's going on around you. And finally, there is the superego. This is the ideal you that you wish you were. It is absolutely moral, kind, generous, whatever you consider to be the perfect version of you. Now, it's unrealistic and unattainable in pretty much everyone, and if most people became what their superego wants, then they would cease to be a person, as that would be totally unrealistic, and you can't. Now, that's a lot about not Overwatch. Now it's time to finally bring the game in. Of the three aforementioned Americans, only one, McCree, seems to me to be like a person. Now this is what got my gears turning initially on this idea. He knows his ability to be dangerous and a dead shot with the gun, and does his best to work towards what he considers to be just causes, but still takes into account that he is wanted and has to escape that, and still needs to buy food and such. And while he is an over-the-top cowboy, that's just kind of who he's been made to become, as he adopted the outlaw identity and the rest mostly followed suit. Now, Reaper is like the id. He wants to kill, and he doesn't want anything more than that, and he doesn't want anything less. He doesn't care about feelings or the real world or morals or ideals, only about healing himself and killing. Now, this type of psychosis only develops in the id and usually stays there, never to be revealed. In the case, however, of a psychopath, such as Reaper, there's an exception. And finally, there's Soldier 76. He fights for good, always, no matter what. Even when Overwatch was disbanded, he continued doing exactly what he did before, except this time marked as a vigilante. He's genetically as well as cybernetically enhanced as a super soldier, and the leader of the assault team within Overwatch. Lore states that he and Reaper very often get into it as far as who's the most deserving of being a leader, although he is eventually chosen. One of the things I find most interesting about these three is their interactions with each other, specifically when death happens. For example, McCree, after he kills Reaper, will tell him that he absolutely needed killing, while after killing Soldier 76 remarks that he'd seen a ghost. This is likely a reference to the fact that Soldier 76 is a much more superego kind of character and wouldn't exist in the real world. Soldier 76, however, tells Reaper that he's supposed to be dead and that he is going to put an end to them. Reaper claimed to have taught McCree everything he knows, to which McCree rebuts with not everything. McCree also tells him to stop treating his guns like trash, and that Reaper says he needs no lessons from the likes of McCree. Finally, when Reaper kills Soldier 76, he states that that's how it initially should have been, and all this isn't to say that they are, close friend, enemy things or anything like that, but to go much deeper and assert that they are exactly the same person. While they may have different names, that is entirely possible considering that Reaper is created from a psychosis anyway, and McCree has seen so much, so he could have PTSD or something of that nature. I'm sure someone will bring up the being in the same room thing, how can they all talk to each other? To which I respond that in any given match, you can have 12 of the same characters, so that argument's completely invalid. Wow, that was a really long one, and I hope you all enjoy it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tweet, add me, and do anything else, and I will see you all when I see you. Good luck and stay determined.